So we'll go ahead and dive in and get started. I'm Jamie Sismadia Thornhill, co-founder of Inner Truth Seekers. I'm also an intuitive medium and multidimensional mentor. And I'm really excited about this workshop today. It's titled From Misaligned to Mission Ready, 5 Adjustments to Increase Authenticity, Abundance, and Impact. So we will dive in. All right. The first thing I want all of you to know here at the very start of the workshop is that you do not need permission to pioneer. And that your presence here on the planet at this point in time, right now on Earth, is an act of love and courage. So, this workshop today is not just information, it's going to provide you with an opportunity for recalibration. And you're going to walk away with tangible mindset and energetic shifts. And then what I love about this too is that you're going to be able to begin applying these shifts immediately in real time, any of those shifts that feel authentic for you today. So I'm just going to invite everyone to tune in today for the workshop for what's really resonating with you. And if something's not or something falls flat, just allow it to be so. But more than likely, there are going to be a few things in this workshop that really land. So if you feel like it right now, type here in the chat box if you're ready to get going and recalibrate. All right. So this workshop's designed to address what I reference as the inner truth seeker's dilemma. And it's basically why we sometimes feel stuck. And when we get stuck, we have a tendency to kind of be inward focused and think it's all about us. But in reality, the reason why we feel stuck, it's not what you think. The reality is that each one of us are trying to build something real, whether it's in our life, whether it's in our work, whether it's through our soul's mission. We're trying to build something real, build something authentic in a system that's optimized for appearances. And that system doesn't seem to reflect your values or recognize your mission, or maybe it feels like it doesn't reward your own authenticity. So in our work with clients and students, we tend to recognize that people face the 5 following core challenges, and there's some offshoots from these. These just seem to be where we find that they're easy to kind of categorize or group. So the first challenge that people seem to face is isolation within the collective. And what that tends to present like is where people feel like they're surrounded by people, but they feel alone or they feel isolated. Or maybe deeper conversations with others feel impossible or challenging, or like nobody actually wants to dive into those deep places. Also, what that can result in is you start questioning if you're the problem, or we may start feeling like we're the black sheep of the family or in the community or at our workplace, just feeling like we're different or not the same as others. A second core challenge that inner truth seekers seem to face is what I call a value recognition crisis. And quite honestly, this one, when I say it, inwardly, I feel myself even get a little emotional or teary. This can kind of bring up self-doubt in us, or what I hear people reference as imposter syndrome a lot of times, where we just doubt ourselves, or we feel like we're not being reflected in the outer world, or the things that we desire aren't. One way I say this too is that it's kind of like when we are looking for third density validation for fourth density work. And what that means is looking for validation from a world that doesn't value heart, truth, sincerity, compassion, love, kindness, these types of things. A third core challenge I notice that people tend to face is what I call mission money confusion. And it has a tendency to be either or thinking. And one moment here, just going to check. Great. So it's either or thinking when someone thinks that you can either follow your soul's mission or you can have income, that they're not one and the same, that if you follow your mission, you're not going to have money. Or if you go out and you try to make loads of money, you're not going to be able to fulfill your mission, that it's a black or white thinking. Sometimes people feel like the mission doesn't fit within traditional business models. And there's a lot of different ways that people teach of doing business or setting up your business or executing your business. And it can feel like we have to sort of fit ourselves into molds that just are restraining or restrictive or just not aligned. The other thing that's a big deal when people tend to step out into or be entrepreneurs or do work in their own sort of unique modality or service or create an innovative product, there can be a feeling that charging for that work makes someone feel guilty. And you hear it often. People say, oh, if you're going to do an intuitive reading, if you're going to provide sound healing, if you're going to do a trauma healing session, you shouldn't charge for it. You shouldn't charge a lot because it's spiritual work. And so there can be a lot of guilt sometimes around executing the mission and also having income or money to support it. Well, shoot. Okay. The fourth core challenge seems to be a lack of clarity and scatteredness. I don't know if anyone can relate to this, but it's where you feel like you're kind of busy, but not really productive, or like you have to hustle, but you're not really sure what the result is of what you're doing, or you take action without aligning with your own truth first. So you're out kind of doing all these things just to be productive. And then you might feel or experience exhaustion because progress is not actually, this type of progress anyway, is not actually meaningful to your mission. And then the fifth core challenge is what I call systems overwhelm, where someone has like a brilliant mission or incredible inspiration or creativity, but then they have difficulty taking steps, or the execution might be a little chaotic or inconsistent out of, again, I'm just going to say the first four core challenges. And so also sometimes people think, well, I'm not a business person. I didn't go to business school. I don't do business stuff. So who am I to think that I should be doing these businessy things? And then sometimes business systems that are out there that are encouraged just feel inauthentic. And so here's another truth bomb. These misalignments are not personal failures. It's not something we have to take personal. It's not something we have to be like, oh, I'm a failure. They're just misalignments. All right. It's just that the collective teaches these things, whether it's conditioning, whether it's family conditioning, cultural conditioning, whatever it is, we just have a tendency to absorb and take on, I'm going to call it beliefs that are not truly ours. And so I'm going to invite you, if you want to be interactive with this, to type in the chat box which of these challenges, of these 5 right now, is hitting the hardest for you or landing with you. And if you don't want to type in the chat box, just even having a sense of it or making a note is great. Lack of clarity. Suzanne, I get that. Thank you for sharing that. Sonia, I hear you too. Good to know. All right. So, what if you don't need a massive overhaul? And instead, maybe just a few internal adjustments that reorient your mindset, your decisions, and your ability to receive. So today we've got 5 powerful adjustments I'm going to share with you in real time. That if you stay present with each of these 5, you can be able to see things more clearly for yourself immediately and even integrate them within and after this session. So the first adjustment, I call it magnetizing your mission. And what this does is it helps you transform from being in isolation or alone to what I call aligned connection. And I say aligned connection as a specifier because connection is nice and it actually already exists and it's there and there's an opportunity for that. But when we have aligned connection, there's something that's really nourishing, nurturing, and mutually supportive in that. So, the misalignment that we can recognize is when we're broadcasting some idea, feeling, or energy of, I don't belong, or I don't deserve to be valued, or what I do or my mission is not valuable energy. All right. And then the mindset shift is, hey, stop trying to belong. Be yourself, create resonance through showing up exactly as you are. Know your own mission. And here's the thing. Sometimes we think, oh, I can't show up as I am. I have to improve first before I show up. I promise you, in this moment, all of you, each one of us is exactly perfect and ready for whatever's coming our way or arising in this moment right now. So you can trust yourself. Some real-time recalibrations that you can try right now. One is just ask yourself, as we're sitting here in this workshop, do I know my mission and my soul's calling? And if not, people sometimes think the soul's calling or mission is this one singular thing and it has to last the whole life. And, oh, I don't know what it is yet because I've just been living my life. Yes, the soul's calling is also all the things we do to live our lives in the personal and the professional. And so you can even just ask yourself, maybe a forethought of that is, am I aware of my soul's mission? If I am, what is it? If I'm not, do I desire to be more aware of my soul's mission? Another question you can ask, what gets me excited about myself or my mission? Because that excitement I can feel for me, even when that question asked, that's the thing that we're like, ooh, I really love doing this. And I really love it when I experience this being of service to somebody. Another question, what conversation would I have if someone completely understood me? And that also gets really juicy because I know a lot of conversations I would have. If I thought someone would understand what I'm talking about, I'd have them all day long. And then after that, what would I share if I knew that they valued exactly what I value? Ooh, okay. So those are some good questions to get at the heart of what you love, what you're excited about, what your mission is. Then integration for that today. Basically, whatever you come up with in response to those questions, whether you just feel them in your heart, meditate on them, or write about them, try using this language in your next 3 interactions with others this week. See how that goes. And then just a little bullet point is notice if any of these questions make you uncomfortable, okay? And I say that because I want to remind everybody that discomfort is normal, that when we really start getting to the heart of our own soul's mission and knowing ourselves better and getting more clarity, we can recognize there's some areas that make us a little uncomfortable that we've kind of been hedging or holding back on. And so just having that familiarity with what that is valuable. Adjustment number 2 is what I call value your sovereignty. And this helps you transform from needing or desiring external validation to trusting your own inner authority, trusting what's within you. And so the misalignment with this is when we're waiting for outer approval or permission to finally step into our mission, or even to take steps towards implementing what we feel like our mission is, or our calling, or our excitement, or our joy. And then a mindset shift is basically become what we call your own North Star metric, which means basically be your own guiding light. Know that inspiration, that truth, that divinity, that uniqueness, that purpose, that blueprint that is you is already imprinted and patterned into you. It's just inviting your attention at a more consistent or practiced level. And so those answers, that guidance, that insight is within. And so just honor your uniqueness as a sovereign individuation of God, knowing that in and of itself is valuable. And so a real-time recalibration that you can do right now is you can ask, whose permission, I love this one, whose permission do I think I need and why? Is it a family member? Is it a teacher or mentor? Is it a colleague? Is it a spouse? Is it a friend? Is it an authority figure in the field that we work within? And so just asking, whose permission do I think I need and why do I think I need it? Another sincere question to ask is, what knowledge, skills, or abilities might I still desire or want in order to execute my soul's mission? Because in reality, there may be some things there that you, any of us, may still want to shore up on, or may be excited to learn more about, or may want to bring into or infuse our work with. And so that's a very sincere question too. Another question, what would I create if I knew it was 100% valuable? And when I said, the thing is, when I'm asking these questions, they're getting answered inside me. And so I can tell you, if I thought it was 100% valuable, I'd create the intuitive development course that's certified, that also has a book with it, that has about 4 different options to it. And it's for intuitive mediums. Okay. And so I'm going to start doing that. I'm already doing it. But if I thought it was 100% valuable, I'd do it for sure. Now, we can also finish this sentence. I know my work matters because we get to provide value with ourself. Now, a quick integration you can do. That unique thing you do doesn't exist yet. That's why it's coming through you. It's being innovated through you. It's being created through you. So you can lead with this knowing. You can create from sovereignty. You can know that it's possible that the world's going to catch up with you. And so something you might investigate or interact with right now is, if you type in the chat box, I stand for, and just name one thing, anything that's coming through for you right now. If the chat box is too public, also feel free to just know it in your heart or write it down for yourself. But basically, I stand for, and right now what comes up for me just immediately is love. All right. Adjustment number 3, merge mission plus money. All right. So we can shift and make the transformation and mindset transformation from either or to both and. From it has to be either money or mission to it gets to be money and mission, or mission and money. The misalignment is when we falsely believe that we have to choose between authenticity and abundance, like they don't go hand in hand. And the mindset shift is get used to grounded realism. Let go of self-shaming and let go of spiritual compromise. Oh, if I'm going to do this innovative, creative thing, if I'm going to be of service to others through healing or some modality, I just have to work really hard and not get a lot from it. Know that income is required to run a business. When you run a business, if any of you run a business or considering it, it requires, there's a lot of overhead, there's utilities, there's cell phone, there's internet, there's all kinds of expenses that are just part and parcel of running a business. And then there's all the extra stuff depending on what's most aligned for you in your business. And so we need to be aware of that and recognize that when we start considering thinking about or are executing our mission. Some real-time recalibrations are: create a monthly Be Well budget to know where you stand. And I call it the Be Well budget. That came through from a woman and a teacher named Danielle Laporte. And I just love that because the Be Well budget is the personal budget that's basically designed around having enough. Okay. It's not the dream budget and it's not the baseline budget. It's, I feel like this meets my monthly lifestyle. It's enough. Okay. When we design that Be Well budget, we're saying this is what I recognize is most aligned with me at my inner truth or at my mission level. All right. And then when we think about or considering providing those services and putting our mission out into the world, then the second thing we can do is translate that Be Well budget into then what is the desired income per month. And I can take that then and start looking at my service offerings. Then how often do I want to do them and how much will that cost? That's one way of many to start grounding in realism of what it means to provide or execute the mission or have a business that does so. The other thing is recognize that you pay for things that you value. I know that there's some things that I won't pay for. I won't pay for them because I don't value them. There are definitely things I do pay for because I value them. A really great pair of running shoes, maybe that costs $200, I'm going to pay for because I experience the benefit of when I go for a run and I have amazingly soft, supportive running shoes. And so I'm going to continue to spend money on that because it's something that I know I need and that's beneficial to me. So that can help us remember that there are other people who are going to be very excited about, desiring, wanting the support of our mission, that they're happy and willing and ready to pay for the things that they value. The other thing we can do as a recalibration is just say, finish the sentence, charging for my services honors the work because, and then just feel into what's true for you about that. So the integration then is just to start normalizing charging, even if it's for intangible results. Sometimes if I know I'm paying for a pair of shoes and they arrive and I have them and I put them on my feet, I have something that's tangible. What did I pay for? Shoes. This is what I got. Sometimes we don't normalize paying for intangibles like health, well-being, peace, healing, transformation, clarity. Recognize that those are also valuable things to a lot of people. And then just as a, little interactive right here, notice if you have or had any resistance to creating a budget. Because that too is normal. There's a tendency for us to have so many reasons why we wouldn't create a budget for ourselves. And there's a lot of fears that go around money that kind of can play into that. So just in absolute love for yourself and gentleness, if you have any resistance around creating a budget, just ask yourself why and just be honest with yourself. Adjustment number 4. I call this take authentic action. This isn't take action because that would be more hustle. Take authentic action means that you have an awareness or recognition that something is aligned for you before you do it. And so what that does is it transforms us from feeling scattered and overwhelmed to being alignment focused. And it reorients us to think that it's not just action and performance that's valuable. A lot of us grow up with that. If you work hard, you'll see the results of it. And then we just go work hard and we think that's what we're going to get. When we work smart, that means that we take a moment to consider what's aligned for us before we take that action. So the misalignment that you may find yourself in is having no pause or no filter or no discernment process for making mission aligned decisions. It's like something comes up and we just react to it and we just start doing instead of hold on, wait, feel into it, discern, and then take action. So the mindset shift is ensure that every action you take is authentic and that it stems from an inner determination of clear alignment with your mission and values. So real-time recalibration that you can do right now with this, make a list of your most heartfelt values. And then once you do that, take it seriously. A lot of times people, it can be kind of businessy of like, what's the values of your business? Start with your own true self. Start with your own inner truth. What are my most heartfelt values? Okay. And then you have permission to have a very unique to you set of values. Maybe it's one thing. Maybe it's 5. I've had clients that have a list of 10 or 12. It doesn't matter what the size of your list is. It just wants to be true to you. And so just making a list of your heartfelt values allows you to see for yourself, this is who I am. This is in alignment with me. And then it allows us to really take it seriously. Another thing you can do right now is just ask, what is my core purpose in one sentence? You know, what comes up for me right now in this moment, if I was to whittle it down to one sentence, which is really hard for me, it would be my core purpose feels like it's to be a demonstration of love in my personal life and in my work in all the myriad of ways it arises for me, and then also empower others to do the same. Okay? That's my one sentence. I can't believe I got that out. Usually it's like 2 paragraphs. So just consider for yourself, even in this moment, what's one sentence that defines my core purpose? The other thing is we can use what I call a decision filter, something that we ask ourselves when opportunities come up. Does this expand my values and mission, or does it diminish them? You know, another thing, or is it just neutral? Does it neither expand them nor diminish them? Is it just kind of like, okay, that's also a worthwhile thing to ask. And then the integration of this is try using the decision filter for decisions this week. This can be, you know, when you're trying to decide if you're going to meet with somebody for coffee, when you're trying to decide if a collaboration is a good fit for you, when you're making a decision to take a job or not, when you're deciding if you're going to create that content and post it, or even where you're going to show up to connect with potential clients or collaborators. We can always ask, does this expand my values and mission or diminish them? And then a little side note is be aware of saying yes when you actually mean no. A lot of times we can feel that. We're like, someone asks us something, yeah, sounds good. And then we sit there for a moment and it's like, oof. And you can feel it when it hits. So when that happens, when we do that, it's a clear sign of misalignment. Nothing to steamroll ourselves about. Just simply take a moment, even if you've already committed to something and you're saying inwardly, you're like, oh God, I don't actually want to do it. We can have that inward conversation. What's more expansive for my values and mission? What would have been a better response to this situation? And then it's just increasing clarity we have for ourselves. And finally, guys, adjustment number 5 is base your systems on values. And systems can be personal systems. It can also be business systems. But basically what this does is it allows us to transform from that feeling of overwhelm to having aligned operations that feel like they're in flow with our mission, with our values, that they're in sync, instead of being off or chaotic or contrary to our values. So the misalignment is when we cave to or engage in business systems and models, or even again, personal systems or models of behavior that are manipulative, unethical, unaligned, or that require us to have to incessantly hustle. The mindset shift for this is ensure that your systems, operations, and structure, that they're nourishing, that they're value aligned, that they enhance and uplift your life and work. A great example of this, just in my own direct experience, not that anyone else has this experience, but just as an example, we decided 5 or 6 years ago that Facebook, Instagram, those type of social media platforms just did not feel good to us. We didn't want to show up in 5-second snippets, and we didn't want to give these like tiny brief moments of things to people. We really like showing up and building relationships and cultivating connection and empowering people at a deep level. And we just felt like those little snippets and short things and flash just didn't feel authentic for us. They're authentic for a lot of people, but it wasn't for us. And so that's a good example of making a decision to not use a specific system because it doesn't feel authentic. That may also be where the types of way that you engage people. Maybe you prefer one-on-one sessions, and that's really where your mission comes through and supports people. Maybe you prefer doing presentations for groups of 200 people, and it's in person to where it's a 3-day weekend workshop. So just having that sense of what's true for you and then showing up in that way puts us back into aligned operations. Some real-time recalibration that you can do right now. Ask yourself, where am I over-efforting because I don't trust ease? That's a big one. Oftentimes we think, again, if I work hard, I'll get results. And we have permission to recognize that working aligned is more mission purposeful than working hard, or at least knowing what's aligned and then working hard with what's aligned. The other thing you can do right now, list 3 business or personal tasks that you've been avoiding. Even if you just list 1 business or personal task that you recognize you've been avoiding or kind of hedging on or kind of ignoring, but it still hasn't gone away. And then for that task or those 3 tasks, you can ask, how could I do this more aligned with who I am? And so whatever your answer is to that last question, the integration would be sometime this week. Just implement 1 adjustment to make a system more aligned with you. Again, at the personal or professional level. And then a little extra bonus is notice if there is an aspect of your life, work, or business that could easily be done by someone else. You know, something that comes up for me that I know we're headed towards, and I can feel my resistance to it, our monthly bookkeeping. I'm the one who does it. Takes about 6 to 8 hours once a month. And I just recognize I'm getting depleted by doing it. And so it's a conversation right now of how do we hand this over to someone else to do it so that my time and energy gets freed back up to do the things that I love doing, because I don't love books. So that's one example of what that might be. Okay. So another truth bomb for all of you. I promise you that your mission is not too much. Your inner truth is exactly what's needed, or it wouldn't be there. All that inner inspiration, all that inner impulse, all that sort of desire, all those excitements, all the passion, all the joy, that is the truth of who you are. And this incarnation is an opportunity to be able to execute that, express it, radiate it. at the most authentic level. And so your integration challenge, as per this workshop anyway, is choose one adjustment from today out of the 5 adjustments to implement immediately after this workshop. Maybe it's sometime in the next hour. Maybe it's sometime this afternoon or evening, or maybe it's in the next 2 or 3 days. But basically, feel into right now which one called to you most strongly, which one really resonated with you. And then when you determine that, you can ask yourself, what's the first authentic action step I'm going to take to make that adjustment? And then it can be helpful to say, when am I going to take it? Now, if you're a person who has an aversion to time-specific stuff, that may not be the best question to ask yourself. When will I take it? Okay, 3 p.m. tomorrow. And then you are contrary to that and just don't do it because you might have an aversion to specific time. I get that. I work with people who that's an experience that's real. If that's the case, you can just say, I'll get to this in the next 3 days. I'll get to this by the end of the day. And then just plug it in conceptually into your schedule. Start there. So if you're feeling like it, type in the chat box what adjustment is feeling most important to you right now, or what adjustment are you making? If that's too public, feel free to just sense it from the inside and or make a note about it for yourself. Great. You guys, I'm loving your answers. Thank you so much. That's really wonderful. I hear you, Suzanne. Hear you, Sonia. Thanks, guys. Well, there we go. All right. So how are you feeling? Do you all feel dedicated to embody? Turn the volume up. Hold on. Okay. So I think you all have exactly what it takes to be able to take authentic action towards making any adjustments that feel resonant with you from today's session. This workshop has basically been a demonstration of what you can experience in the Inner Truth Seekers Academy. Basically, it's been designed for helping and empowering people dedicate to embodying their mission and then executing it more adeptly. And here's what sets the Academy apart. We basically teach you direct awareness training. And so this is where when we look to inner authority over outer authority, you get first real-time practice on how to check in with yourself, how to tune into your truth, how to plug into your own soul's mission, how to ask those relevant questions, how to know what's for you, what's not for you. Something that you get to do inwardly and be empowered by as contrasted to relying on someone to tell you, relying on someone to give you permission. This is something that comes from within and that we teach. Centered evolution. And so you'll notice in this little image, it's 4 individuals that are together in a group, but each one of them has their own little color around their head. That means that each one of us are unique. And so when we come together as a community or as a mutually supportive collective, it's not to have everyone have the same mind and think the same things and have the same mission. It's to recognize that there's a like-heartedness and allow us opportunities to engage with that mutual support without pandering to it and without sort of resisting it or withholding from it, but staying centered with equanimity within ourselves and our own truth. So we teach that. The third thing we teach is collective acceleration. There's a lot of inner truth seekers on the planet, not a high percentage of the population, but There's enough of us. We happen to be sort of dispersed around the globe. And so this is an opportunity to come together with, again, like-hearted humans for collective acceleration, learning, growth, empowerment. And then we also teach grounded multidimensionality. There's those little tennis shoes I was talking about. Grounded multidimensionality, what is that? It means that we recognize we're having a very human experience. And so we don't bypass the emotions, the difficulties, the challenges, of the joys of being human. We stay present with them, but we also bring our multidimensionality, our soul, our spirit, our infinite self, our higher self into that to help inform it from a truer place, a deeper place of love. We also teach life plus work integration. A lot of things, kind of convey the idea that, you have to, you can really enjoy work, but then your personal life is going to suffer. Or if you want to have a really great personal life, then you're going to have to not work, or you're going to have a certain job that you don't love. We teach life plus work integration is the soul's mission. They go hand in hand. They're symbiotic together. And so all the personal decisions we make are informed by and interact with the professional and vice versa. And then just quickly here, some academy details that might help you understand a little bit more about what it is. It's basically a multidimensional learning community in that we're unapologetically multidimensional. And there's long-term mentorship with myself and co-founder and my husband, Michael. We do live expert teachings. We do smaller breakout groups. And it's a like-hearted collective that you get to engage with and learn and grow from. So who's it for? Dedicated inner truth seekers, heart-centered entrepreneurs, and purpose-driven change makers who want to amplify authenticity, increase abundance, and elevate impact in the planetary shift towards love. And then when is it? Well, it actually launches and goes live this August 20th, but after that date, it will be ongoing. It'll be always available for someone to join and become a member of. And where is it? Well, you can enroll at innertruthseekers.com. And when you go there, you'll see the academy. You'll also see that we have a special offer right now, a 50% lifetime discount by August 20th. So I want you guys to know that this is your moment, but literally every moment is your moment. And your mission isn't too much. And if the world isn't ready for you, so what? You, we are not here to fit in and do what's already been done. You're here to lead the way. And that is the completion of the workshop today. I want to take a moment to thank all of you for your presence and, your attentiveness to yourself throughout this workshop. And I just am signing off with love and unshakable belief in the truth of your brilliance. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and come back here. All right. Thank you, guys. We have about 10 to 15 minutes remaining. If anybody has any questions, or if anyone feels like sharing anything that came up for you in the workshop.
I have a question about just like core values and things like that. What are some of the ways that you...
Greg, I can't hear you. Is your mute on? And Laura, I see that you raised your hand. One moment.
I can hear Greg. Can you hear me?
Oh, shoot. Maybe it's me.
Is your volume up?
Okay, Greg, will you speak again?
Yeah. How about now?
I apologize. My volume went off. Please continue.
Can you give an example of, like, for example, how you go through and do like values exercises and things like that?
Yeah, and Greg, anything specific, or are you just general?
Well, in, like, for example, in trying to distill kind of the core motivation that I have, or that drives me, so that I can come back to that. Um, I, I know, kind of why I want to do. I know that there's something inside of me that's pushing me and motivating me to do the things that I'm doing with respect to the rather esoteric work that I do. Right. Um, and sometimes I just have, like, it's more of just like it's more of an influence. It's more like kind of going with a flow, but there's no, like, I can't identify the sail, right? Like, I know that I'm going with the wind, but I don't know what my sail looks like.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yeah, it does. I'm feeling it. My first question to you is, because some people this matters to and other people it doesn't. All right.
Mhm.
Is it valuable to you to know what the sale is?
Well, every single program and book that I've read and podcast that I listened to and coaching session that I've had, it comes back to, like, how do you define your core values? Is it with respect to execution in something that is a little bit undefined. So
Got it.
if I'm stepping into a space that I don't have a lot of, there aren't a lot of models for me to follow, at least not models that I resonate with.
Yeah.
And so when I'm feeling maybe a little discouraged or confused, like, is this really what I'm supposed to be doing? Like, I think I'm following what my calling is. But it seems to be a call that's kind of far away. I'm heading in the right direction, but I'm not, like, on a super clear path.
Okay. All right. See how this resonates with you. Just take whatever is for you and leave whatever's not. But this is just kind of what's coming through intuitively. Some of us are just, there's something there that just, and when I work with clients too, okay, some people are just sort of inwardly inspired, or kind of, I'm going to say, impulsed or guided in directions, I want to say, in kind of real time or in moments. And they're okay with that. And that's part of their soul's mission and soul's calling is, and they even have a very high level of comfort not knowing where it's going or how it's going to turn out or what the ultimate goal is. And so they have a very innate comfort level with the unknown that actually brings them a lot of joy and is part of their mission or their inner truth or their blueprint or their soul's calling. Where somebody else has inner inspiration, creativity, impulses that push them in a direction that have very clear sort of ways that it wants to take shape or form and go out into the world. And then that shape or form transforms over time or evolves like it does. But the person, it's more in their soul's mission or their inner truth to have a more of a grounded sort of structure around it and how it's going to look, which would be off-putting and not natural for the first person I mentioned. Okay. For me, one of the questions I like to ask sometimes, what are your values? Even when I ask that, and I know how beneficial it can be to answer that question, I can also feel the part in me that wants to resist answering that question of like, oh, that's too stuffy. Or I'm afraid that if I decide what my values are, I kind of, my life evolves. So what if they evolve? Do I have to stick to those values? So something I tune into myself with every once in a while, regularly, that feels a little bit easier for me to answer is like, in this moment, what do I stand for? And when I say that, it's not out of rebellion or resistance or out of, trying to plant a flag. It's me going, what do I stand for right now? And I'm like, oh, right now when I say that, I'm like, inner truth. I'm so sick of everything being repetitive and everyone's got to do the same thing. And if you don't, you're good or you're bad or I'm just like, oh, inner truth is what I stand for right now. Okay.
Okay. But what if, like, for example, sometimes it's easier when, okay, so one of the exercises that I used to do, as far as identifying what I'm feeling is I'd look at a feelings wheel, right? And it'd have all of these different emotions and all of these different words on it. And I could say, it's not this, it's not this. It's kind of like I'd start circling, right? There's some of this in it. There's some of this in it. There's some of this in it. And I would try and distill it down so that I could put language to it so that then I could then have it in front of, put it on a Post-it note, just come back to it as maybe a mantra, whatever it is, right? But if I'm not able to name it, then it's just like, I'm just going toward the sound. I don't know what the word is. I'm just going toward the sound. I need the word. I want the word. Because going toward the sound, it feels like it's super foggy. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So my question to you is, do you have an example of how you would help someone get clear on what their values really are?
Yeah. I mean, and again, know that I'm just going to say there's infinite number of ways to do this. But, even when I'm working with somebody who's having difficulty feeling what they're being drawn to or what they're aligned towards or what they feel strongly about or passionate about or excited about or like inspired by, sometimes we can just do the opposite. We can be like, what sucks? Like, what is it that you don't do? What is it that you don't like? What do you know is non-negotiable? What is it that drives you crazy? What is it that you can't stand? Where do you get depleted? Where do you find yourself fully fatigued? So we can even sort of name the non-alignment or the non-values. And sometimes when we start there, we have permission just to go ahead and drop all the stuff like, can't stand all this stuff. Okay. That can help give us insight to what we prefer, to what's more true. Okay. And bear with me again, because Greg, I'm responding to you also intuitively of whatever's coming up. So there's what my ears heard you say, and then there's also what's just sort of arising. The other thing is, for me, the values are meant to sort of be a starting point. They're not something for me to identify with and then become concrete. And then another thing that I feel like is immobile and that I have to like have allegiance towards. Okay. For me, they're a starting point, and they're also, I'm going to call it a reflector or a mirror, is like, they're helpful for tuning. Is like, okay, so right now I can tell you, a high value of mine at the top is just love. And when I say that, I don't fully even know what it means. Okay. I'm not trying to like define love. I just know that if I say, is this aligned with love? That I know a yes or no quickly. Okay. So for me, that's what I use as a starting point to help me get clear on something I'm confused about. Is this service, is the direction I'm headed with this esoteric work? For me, again, this is the value that comes up for me in this moment. Is it aligned with love? And then I can feel, good. That's a good indicator. I can feel it. It's aligned with love. Okay, I want to keep moving in that direction. Now, I can just as a fun exercise, because I'm a little bit of both. I'm intuitive and I also like practicality. I like them both hand in hand. And so, like, I love me a good define my values, know what they are, make a spreadsheet about it, blah, blah, have it, get clearer on it. I like a good, like, practice that I have tangible information on. And then I also like to sort of like toss it to the wind and just feel into it again. So, this is the other thing, too, that's so important. A lot of places, you have to know your values. You have to have it written down. You have to put it on your website. Everything has to stream from it. You have to always check your values. I mean, do you? If that's natural for you and if it's true for you and authentic, sure. But also, you might find that there's a part of you that's like, it just doesn't land fully. It just doesn't feel like you've said, like, I keep hearing people say it, but I still don't feel it. Or it's more, the other part of this too is, Greg, I have people who sense things or engage things or create things from what I'm going to call knowing or instinct. And that doesn't always have a whole set of defined values, all this thing over here. That knowing or instinct or sense or feeling happens in the moment, and it just sort of directs someone. It's this, it's that, go that way. And if you ask someone who is one of their core ways of knowing or connecting with their own intuition is knowing or sensing or instinct, and you say, how'd you decide that? They go, just felt right. You go, yeah, but explain it. And they're like, I just knew it. So that way of knowing, that way of engaging, that way of executing work isn't highly acknowledged or valued, but it's awesome. The people that I work with that do that, they kind of like don't have to go through a whole lot of like assessment, evaluation, inner inquiry, contemplation, meditation. They're just like, nope, I just knew it. I just felt it. That's what we're doing. Someone's like, well, what are the values that are behind that? I don't know, I just knew it. So another thing to consider is if there's things that you're seeing, you're learning, you're kind of seeing patterns of or recognizing this keeps being taught, but it's still not landing with me. I'm still not connecting with it. It still doesn't feel authentic, or it doesn't feel aligned, or it doesn't feel resonant. I'm not getting it. It doesn't feel true for me. You might also ask, what is truer for you in terms of knowing your values and interacting with them or being inspired by them? What is true for you in that? How does that resonate with you or not?
Yeah. I think being able to maybe just trust the process as far as, what does resonate and what doesn't resonate. And then just kind of keep going, I guess. One of like, for example, when we were talking about like the thing that I put in respect to the challenge was mission and money, right? And so I hear people talking about appropriate energy exchange for their services and what they're doing. And, like you shouldn't give away your product, or you shouldn't give away your service. You shouldn't undervalue it. But then there's something that feels very inauthentic of being able to say, well, yeah, like this is what I'm doing is invaluable. Like if I could change someone's life, you can't really put a price on that. So they should be paying me thousands of dollars for a session, or whatever. That doesn't feel right. So I think going back, what does resonate with me is when you said, what is your be well budget? Right? So if I can say, okay, well, I've got some flexibility in my price. I can offer some flexibility in my pricing structure to be able to offer this to people that maybe have less income, and to maybe offer an opportunity for people that have more income to pay more so that I can meet that be well place. I don't want to, I don't need to scale. I don't need to scale this business, right? I just want to like show up, do the thing that I'm called to do, and be able to just do that and just like enjoy my life and live without wanting more. Does that make sense? And
Yeah,
and all of the messages that I'm getting are like, no, man, you gotta like, you should be rich. It's like, that's not really what I'm looking at.
yeah, Greg, I would always invite anybody, just be authentic with yourself. What's true for you? I've got friends and clients who, when I'm tuning into them in an intuitive reading, I can feel their, I'm going to say, blueprint, soul's mission is like heading them towards what I would call, wealth. I can feel other people that it's not. It's like, okay, equanimity. Someone else, soul's mission and purpose might be to have some really difficult times and struggle financially. And it's not because something's wrong with someone. It's because that's part of the incarnational catalyst for whatever the soul's trying to learn. So here's what I always recommend, and here's what I do in my own life and work. I just tune in. There's all the noise in the words, and even that, like, oh, what's a energy exchange? For me, I don't go into that. Again, not that anyone should or shouldn't, but because it's not authentic for me. I don't look at it as an energy exchange. I don't need anything from anyone. So I'm not like, what should I give you for the thing that you're giving me that I expect you to give me? And that conversation for me just starts turning down a path that's inauthentic. So I don't refer to it or consider what's the energy exchange. I'm just like, hey, I live on planet Earth. I've got to have a house. I've got to have shelter. I've got to have food. I know the things that I need. I know what feels comfortable for me. I know what the work I do is doing. And I can also intuitively feel into what different range of costs I want to offer and provide, what different ranges of accessibility I want to provide, all the free resources, all the over delivering, all the stuff, because that's just authentic for me. That's how it works for me. That's how I want to work and provide services. Some things I just want to give away all day long, and I don't want to have any, like, I don't need anything from anything. I just want to give away a bunch of stuff. And I want to work hard for the right people who are taking themselves seriously, and I want to get paid for that. So, like, I'm just being honest with myself. What I would recommend is, listen to all the voices out there, but even tune into, does that even feel true for me? Energy exchange? Because maybe it does, and you've got some new way of seeing things, and then that helps you decide how you're going to price your offerings, and then how much you want to make each month, that type of thing. But knowing that, I'm going to call it the lifestyle or the life and the mission or the profession or the service, that they're hand in hand. They're not meant to be like, oh, go give tons to this thing and then suffer personally. It's like, no, it's like some sort of beautiful blend of magic symbiosis that's meant to work to where it can be designed to where they both, co-nurture each other. And then, Greg, I'll just say, feel free, anybody actually, if there's other questions you have, you can go to our website and schedule a free 30-minute clarity call with me. If you want to get more specific, or if you have things that you want to be more specific about without being in a public forum, please feel free to do that. What I want to do, because I've got about 10 more minutes remaining, I want to make sure nobody else has other questions. Yeah. I think I saw Laura. Did you raise your hand too? And Greg, thank you so much for your great questions.
Sure.
I'm feeling into if I need to ask this question or not. Because it's sort of around just, I notice if I put like a rigid, not even rigid, like a structure around timing or what I'm doing or what needs to happen when, or like I'll record my first video by Thursday. There's like this martyr, rebellious person inside of me that's like, I'm not fucking doing that, like gets to the time and I'm like, no, I'm not doing just because I said I would. And I'm like, probably need to spend a little bit of time with that part of me. But it's also like if I try to make a big picture plan or like get asked a lot of questions around like, what's the vision or what's the goal or I just totally freeze. So I'm just navigating. And I also notice that if I don't have any of that, I don't do anything. Like it's just this like swirling kind of, I've got something to say, but I don't know where to start. So I'm wondering how to navigate like the in between,
Yeah, Laura, great question. And I'm realizing that part of the workshop that came up, I'm like, oh, it's speaking to you, Laura. Okay. Yeah, great question. And here's the thing, folks. Some of us again, and it can be just natural or it can be from held over sort of, I'm going to say trauma responses to things. Not everyone is connected with and values time, deadlines, performance, completion. When I say I'm going to do it, the collective Western world, at least the United States does. Oh, you set a deadline and you finished it by then, and then you charged that, and then blah, 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 and you met all those things. Good. You're a good student, A+. So there's a lot of value in that, or I'm going to say a reward in certain cultures for that. But that's not true, and it's not authentic for everyone to behave in that way. Okay. So here's an example. If you have a calendar, whether it's a paper calendar or notebook or an online calendar, what you could do that for me allows more flexibility. I do this a little, not a lot, but a little. And I notice when I do it is when I'm having trouble or I don't want to commit to something. I'm just like, I'll do that when I get to it. But when you've got a calendar, if you know, okay, I'm going to write my mission statement, or I'm going to write my positioning description for this service offering. How long do I think it'll take? It might take 2 or 3 hours. I just kind of add a little task, write my position description. It's going to take 2 to 3 hours, I think. I don't even like to say how long it's going to take, okay? Because sometimes I get really absorbed in it. It takes 7 hours because I'm being really detailed. All right. So sometimes when I say it's going to take 2 to 3 hours, I get annoyed with that. All right. But if you just have it as a task, the other thing you can do, you can just kind of say, okay, it's Tuesday. Here's all the tasks that I say are important to me that I want to do. They're authentic, because when they're authentic, then you actually feel like doing them. When they're just stuff that you make up because you think you have to do and someone else says it's important, that also can be a thing that we're like, oh, I don't want to do it. And then we feel a rejection of it or a rebellion from it. So that's where that aligning with what's authentic, what's most aligned, in that day, in that morning, there it is. You've had your tea. It's 8 a.m. You're like, okay, which of these tasks feels most resonant for me to do today? I've got a 4-hour opening. And then you just pick one and put it in that morning. And that way you're not sitting there looking out over a 5-day calendar that's fully planned, that you're like, oh my God, I'm so scheduled. That's insane. I'm one person. Okay. But if that's also anyone else here, if that's authentic for you, if you like that scheduling and you like that like specificity and you like holding yourself to a task, I can feel it. I've got a lot of clients like this too. It's like, I said I was going to do that on Tuesday. It's going to take 3 hours. I did it in 2.5. And they love that because they like creating goals for themselves and meeting them. And they get a lot of like self-fulfillment from that. Okay. That can also be sincere or authentic. What's important is that you know if it is or not. If Michael, my husband and co-founder of Inner Truth Seekers, were sitting here with me, he loves efficiency, timeliness, and scheduling. And he likes doing all that and like doing it. And he's like, I got all this stuff done today. And he loves it sincerely. And when he's talking about how we scheduled this time and how he did all this, and it's proficient. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, wow, but I can't do that, nor would I, because it's contrary to what's true for me. So I have to follow, I get to look at him and go, brilliant for him. That doesn't work for me. He's like, Jamie, do you want me to get you set up on my schedule? I'm like, no, thank you, because I won't do it. I can't. So the other thing is just to know who you are, even as people. This is what works for me. I get this much done. I make this much money. I do this much stuff in a month. Like, tune in, even how you feel when someone's saying that. Like, I can feel, I'm like, that's awesome. How does that feel for me? About 30% resonant. So there I give myself room and a break again to breathe and find my own way. Because when I'm working in alignment with what's true for me, I am loving my work. When I start trying to apply some sort of technique or structure or framework to myself that's not me, but someone else says it's really great, I can feel it. And I think anyone can. You start feeling depleted. You start feeling contracted. You start feeling uptight. You start feeling like not yourself, anxious, a little nervous. It starts making us feel weird. So always being able to tune in and be like, yeah, okay, this works for them. But, Laura, there's so many, each one of us is so different in our own personality, our biases, what resonates with us, what works for us, what doesn't energetically. I've got to be done working by 4 or 5. If I work till 6, I'm insane. I'm not normal. Other people love working in the evening till 8. It's their best time to work. I'm like, no. I'm like, I could get up at 5. I love that. I will not work past 4 or 5. So that's also not true for everybody. So each one of us gets to decide what's the best time of day that I have the most energy, I'm most awake, I'm most excited. When do I start feeling like, and I'm done? So yeah. Laura, how's that landing with you or not?
Yep, that helps. Thank you. It's just like my deep conditioning. It's like I know, like that's what I study is like the differentiation of humans, like the uniqueness of humans. And it's like I know, but it's some of my most sensitive conditioning to like try to fit in, try to be like everyone else, try to do what someone tells me to do. So thank you for the reminder.
You're welcome. And some of us are conditioned in our families or our culture, environments. My family, one of the things that just got pounded into us is you finish what you start, follow through on everything that you do. Now, what that means for me is that if I start off on a path that something feels inspired and then it loses energy or it starts fading or morphing into something different, I have a weird thing where I think, I have to go ahead and finish this. And then look how sad I feel. If I don't, I need to finish what I start. I don't do that anymore because that was sweet that my family taught me that to help me be like a good person. Like, don't say you're going to do things and then not follow through with them. Don't make it a habit of that. There's a sincere part of that that's true for me. But I also value that I get to change my mind. Something feels resonant for a while and then it might fade off and I get to decide that no longer resonates with me and I shift my path. So that's also like another example of a way where maybe the collective culture is like, you have to finish it. You started it. You told us you were going to do it. You've got to do it. I'm like, you know what? I started working on it. It felt not resonant. It actually feels like it's for someone else. It's not for me. I'm going to move in this direction. So that's not a popular advice that's given in the business world. I'm going to do that when it's true for me, because if I don't, I'll cause myself problems. Does anybody else have any other questions or anything you want to share? All right, you 4. Well, it's been an honor and pleasure to be here with you today. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules and wherever you're calling from today. And wish you guys the best with everything. And like I said, if anything comes up that you feel like you want to chat with in a private conversation, feel free to schedule a 30-minute clarity call on our innertruthseekers.com website. And enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, or evening. Thanks, you guys.
Thanks, Jamie. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, everyone.
You're welcome. Bye, y'all.